All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. I know so many persons are watching me from across the world, so I appreciate the time zone in which you are. Again, this is my humble self, Chilion, coming again with you to share the little nuggets that I'm learning in life. Most of the time when we hear the word competition, we always think negative. It's bad. Oh no, why compete with people? Don't compete, don't compete. Whenever we hear competition, we think about it negatively. But I want us to take a deeper look at competition and look at competition in a much more critical eye and actually dissect competition. Now, to me, I believe that competition has a lot of benefits that it brings to our community, a lot of benefits that it brings to this world, to our country. Now, whenever there is a monopoly, whenever you have just one company that provides a service or provides a product, you will attest to me that the quality of the product or the quality of the service is always not the best. I come from a country called Cameroon, and we only have one company that provides electricity. It's called Sonel. My neighboring country, Nigeria, has only one company that provides electricity. It's called NEPA. And these two countries can attest that the kind of electricity they have is not the best at all. You have electricity maybe for 5 hours, it's taken away. It's very, very, very unreliable. And I think that one of the biggest reasons why the electricity is unreliable, it's because these companies have no competitor. They are the sole people that are providing that service, so they just keep doing things the way they can do it. But trust me, if a competitor was to surface for Sonel in Cameroon, I'll tell you, Sonel is going to sit up and do a better job. We'll start having more reliable electricity. Now, let me bring another example. When we have multiple companies that are providing healthcare facility, multiple hospitals, what's the result of that? We have better healthcare because the companies are now competing with each other. They want to be able to have more successful surgery. Oh, we did this great surgery. This patient was just about to die, and we were able to do the surgery on his brain, and guess what? The patient is surviving. They're striving for the best. They are striving to offer patients the best. So the competition amongst this hospital or these healthcare providers only yields in better healthcare. Why? Because of competition. It makes us to have a better community. It makes us to have a better country. It makes us to live a better life. So competition helps to improve our lives. Let me bring this other scenario. So I heard somebody ask the question to a group of athletes. He asked a question to the athletes. He says, do you run faster when you're running alone? Or do you run faster when you're running with someone? And all the athletes said that they run faster when they are running with some other person. That is to say that when they go out to run, an athlete go out to run by himself or by herself, and she claps her hand or his hand by himself and starts running for a particular distance from here to a certain distance. When they stop and look at the clock, they might have covered that distance in 10 seconds. But if they had a fellow athlete with them and they clapped their hand together, all of them took off in speed. When they get to the same stoppage point, you can check the clock and you see that instead of 10 seconds to use or 10 minutes you used the last time, now you're using 8 minutes. Why? Because of competition. Because you're running with some other person. Guess what? That made the both athletes to run faster than they would have run if they were running by themselves. So with these three examples, you can clearly see that despite the fact that competition could be bad in certain aspects, it also has enormous benefits that we can tap from if we only be able to use the competition in a good way. So the bottom line is engaging in healthy competition. As an individual, when I get into academics, in any class, I compete. I will tell you, I compete. After the first few exams, I look for the person who comes first in the class, who scores the highest. I start competing with that person. Because if I'm competing with the person who takes first in the class, I would at least make it be the third or be the fourth if I'm not the second. But if I don't compete, I might fail. Or if I compete with someone who is barely making average, then I will fail. So competition is very, very, very helpful. It has a lot of benefits. So the bottom line is engaging in healthy competition. So the question now is, what is healthy competition and what is unhealthy competition? Now I have about 4 points to be able to elicit this, so we can clearly be able to see what is healthy competition and what is unhealthy competition, so we can stop unhealthy competition and focus on the healthy competition. So the first thing I can talk about competition that makes it healthy is that whenever you are in competition, focus on the standard that has been raised by your competitor. Do not focus on your competitor. My brother here, Nasako, is the CEO of Toridey. I am 100% sure he has lots of other competitors who are doing the same kind of business that he's doing, a videographic institution. There are lots of other people who have it. But a healthy competition for him means looking at the standard that his competitors have raised. Maybe there's a level of professionalism that his competitors are delivering their service, and so his focus will be, can I match up to that level of professionalism, or can I be more professional than them? Maybe when he watches their video, he sees a certain level of quality and skill that is being demonstrated in that video, and like, wow. So now focusing on the standard will be like, no, as Toridey, I don't think I can settle to produce a video that's of lesser quality than that one. Now he focuses on the standard that has been laid by his competitor so that he can also improve in his skill. He will go to learn that skill, learn how to do it that way. So his focus is on the standard that has been set by his competitor, not necessarily the competitor itself. Because when you start focusing on your competitor, this is what's going to produce. It's going to produce jealousy and it's going to produce envy. But if you focus on the standard, you will definitely come out to be a better person. Now, the next thing I want to say is compete with your competitor. Do not compete against your competitor. Those are two separate concepts. Competing with someone and competing against someone. When you are competing against someone, you're only saying that I will only win if he loses. I only pass if he fails. You can actually compete with somebody and the both of you win a prize. But you are scored to be best than the other person. Right? So when you are competing against, what happens? It means at that point you start seeking to blackmail your competitor. You start seeking to discredit their work. You inspect their work, you see what they didn't do well, and you broadcast it for everybody to see. You go and tell lies about them. You go and tell blackmail, you start saying only the bad things about them. Then you are competing against as opposed to competing with. We see a lot of this in politics, like I've seen in the United States. One person running for governor would want to advertise himself or have people to vote for him. He will start by bringing all the bad resume of his competitor. He didn't do this. He did this crazy thing. He suffered this. He will bring out all of their bad resume. Then after I say, don't vote for this guy. Vote for me instead. And then he brings up all his good resume. That is competing against. But when you are competing with, you are seeking to learn from your competitor. If our politicians would rather be like, okay, let me outrun my competitor by bringing more fruitful projects to the table, more good ideas to the table, more policies to the table. Let the good ideas, the good plan, the good vision make you to outshine your competitor, right? As opposed to you trying to blackmail them for you to shine. When you are competing against, then you don't want to hear the name of your competitor. Each time you hear that name of that person, you feel bad. You don't want to hear anybody praise them. You don't want to hear anybody talk anything good about them. Then you are competing against, and that is unhealthy competition. But when you're competing with, that is healthy competition, because you can learn from your competitor and you allow them to do what? To push your limits. You allow them to push you to go further. Now, that naturally translates to my next point. Do not seek to eliminate your competitor. If you eliminate your competitor, you are going to stop improving. I guarantee you, if you eliminate your competitor, you will stop improving. The quality of your service will not improve over time. The quality of your product will not improve over time. But when you have a competitor who is doing great things, So your limits are pushed. So by the presence of your competitor, you yourself, you realize that I used to be this good in making videos, but now I am this good. And next thing you think you see you are this good. You are this good. You used to sing well. Next thing you have improved. You have improved. You have improved. Why? Because you have a competitor. But if you do not have a competitor, you are going to plateau. You are going to be on the same length all the time, or you might even start dropping. That ties with what people popularly say, that if you are the best or the most outstanding person or the most successful person in your community, you need to change your community, because you will stop going. You just feel like, oh, there's nobody around here that can do us better than me. But when you go to a place where people are better than you, people challenge you, you are going to improve. So do not seek to eliminate your competitors if you want to engage in a healthy competitor. You need them to be around for you yourself to grow, for you yourself to improve, for you yourself to get more skill. You need your competitors to always be around at every point in time. The third thing that makes a competition to be healthy or unhealthy is about the object of your competition. What is the object of a competition? Your competition can never be healthy if the competition is focused on the wrong thing. Do not focus on your acquisition. Bad objects are things like the size of the house you live in, the kind of car you drive, how much profit you make as a company, how much cash flow revenue you make as a company in a month. If you compete from this perspective, then it is negative, it's unhealthy competition. Now, Apple and Samsung are two great competitors when it comes to making mobile phones. But I don't think that these two people are competing over profitability. Apple could be ranked to be a better phone producer or manufacturer than Samsung. But if you go and check their balance sheet, you realize that Samsung might be making more profit than Apple. Regardless of the fact Apple is better. But guess what? They are each not focusing on their profitability. They are focusing on trying to make the better phone, because they know if they make a better phone, they will naturally have more customers coming to them, and they will naturally have profitability. Now, let me come to you and I. That was about business. Talking about now you and I. What am I trying to focus here? Now, if you and I start competing over the house we live, because my brother bought a big, beautiful house, I want to buy a house that is more beautiful than my brother's house. Oh, my brother just bought a Porsche Cayenne. I want to go buy a Range Rover. Oh, my friend just bought a Range Rover. I want to go buy a Maserati. That is unhealthy competition. And what I've realized is that this kind of competition that is focused on what we have acquired, right, is mostly common among the middle class. It's not common among the bottom class people who are broke, because when you are broke, you're simply looking for your next meal and your next rent. You don't have time to compete with nobody. It's not common among people who are really rich, they're ultra rich. It's common among those who are in the middle class. For those in the United States, it's common among people who are making like $80,000 to more than $100,000. That kind of competition on what the object on houses and cars is common among us. For those in Cameroon, that kind of competition is common among people who make like $250,000, $300,000 around that level. They start having those kind of competitions, and it's unhealthy. But healthy competition is when you're focusing on a vision, on something you're trying to do. I will use the example of somebody that we all know, Elon Musk. He is the richest man on earth. But at this very point in time that we are speaking, this gentleman, the richest man on earth, is living in a $50,000 house. His house he's living in right now is $50,000. That's the worth of that house. But he used to live in a mansion. But because he's obsessed about his vision, about getting more rockets to go to Mars and come to space and come back, well, he's focused about trying to make the next self-driving car. Guess what? He bought a whole plant, a whole place to establish his SpaceX, his rocket factory or whatever in Texas. And then he went and looked for a small house close to that. That's about 3 minutes from that his SpaceX station, which is for $50,000. And he bought that. His people who are behind him, like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, who is the CEO of Amazon, their houses they're living is way better than his house. I mean, my house is worth more than Elon Musk's house, like 5 times. But this guy doesn't care about where he lives. He's not in competition with anybody on where he lives, on the kind of yacht and whatever. He is focused on more innovation, more technology, where he's going. Because if he achieves that, it's going to give him everything. But he's the richest man in the world. So you see, this kind of competition that is focused more on what we possess, what we have acquired, is more common around the middle class. And that's the thing that keeps us in the middle class. And we never ever be able to break further to the higher class. Because when we get to the middle class, we start focus more on comfort. But the person who is on his way to the higher class thinks about comfort and luxury last. And he gets luxury when he's in the upper class. So the object of your competition will determine if your competition is healthy or unhealthy. What are you competing about? Is it about a house, a car, and so on? Or is it about you being better in your career? If I am a DevOps engineer, I'm an IT guy, and I have another friend who is an IT guy, our competition should not be that he's making a $200,000 job, I should go get a $250,000 job. That's unhealthy competition. But it should be, what can he do in the IT space? And what can I do? Improving our skill sets. That's healthy competition. So enough about that. So the few points about healthy competition is: number 1, focus on the standard. Number 2, compete with your competitor, don't compete against. Number 3 is do not seek to eliminate your competitor. Number 4 is make sure the object of your competition is a good one. Now, enough about the problem statement. The question now is, how can we inculcate healthy competition? I must always end my presentation by putting forth a solution on the table, what I think is a solution. So point number 1 on being able to cultivate healthy competition. Point number 1 is develop a passion. What is that one thing that you like to do, that you can do it even without being paid for? My brother Nasser Koya, his own vision and his passion is about a media where he can have people come and enlighten other people about opportunities in Cameroon, opportunities in the US, help younger adults or the teenagers to have a more sound mind by having some coaching from adults. This is his passion. He has developed a passion around this, and he has transformed this passion to a vision. So that's step 1. What is your passion? What is your vision? What is that one thing that you want to give your life to doing? Like for me right now, I'm developing my passion about sharing what I'm sharing today, talking to you or improving you. Now, that is my passion. I developed that to be my vision. So step 1 is have a passion. Transform the passion into a vision. Step number 2, look for some other person who has the same passion like you, has the same vision like you, who is involved in the same career path that you have chosen to be your passion or your vision. Then watch them. Watch their performance. Are you trying to be a singer? Watch other singers who are doing great, who you can call your competitors, preferable singers who are around your same age or around your same stage in life. Right? Watch them. Ask yourself, what are some things they do that spices how they do this thing? Can I do it better, or can I at least meet that standard? So step 1 is have a passion, transform it into a vision. Step 2 is find some other person who is involved in the same thing and is doing it in excellence. Then you watch them and see if you can do better than they are. Every day, almost every day, I listen to public speakers. I listen to people like Miles Monroe. I listen to people like T.D. Jakes. I listen to people like Jim Rohn. And you can name the list and they keep going on and on. Because it's not about just having a knowledge on what you want to say. It's how you say it, how you convey it. Look for someone who is doing the same thing you're trying to do. Watch them. Ask yourself, how can I do like them or do better? The next thing is, I will not butcher on this. The third one is compete with them, to not compete against them. I've already spoken about that, so I would not say it again. So to me, there are many ways you can inculcate healthy competition. So the list doesn't end here. But I think these 3, if you start with these 3, you realize that you'll be indulged in healthy competition. And I'm going to end by making a statement I made before. The statement is that every single one of us needs competition. As a nurse, you need competition. As a businessman, you need competition. As a singer, you need competition. As a comedian, you need competition. As a medical doctor, you need competition. Each and every one of us needs competition because that's the only way we can improve our skills. That's the only way we can get better at what we're doing. And by so doing, what happens? Our community benefits. When you compete as a medical doctor, it can only result to more patients being healed. People are going to have more smile in their face. If you compete as a comedian, guess what? Our community is gonna just enjoy. People after a stressful day and thinking of suicide will come and listen to you and find a reason to live. That I cannot go kill myself when we have these kind of fun things that are going on. We all need competition for us to grow in our skill. And when we indulge in those healthy competition and grow in our skill, our community becomes better. The world becomes a better place. So look out for competition. Go for competition, but keep it healthy. I hope this helps. Thank you, and talk to you next time. Bye-bye.